you've got this testing and the lengths you've gone to get these pure oils, then what harm can it do with releasing it? Because it will have to come to your grade.
Because people can see what our exact chemistry is within our oils. It's not an issue of purity, it's an issue of, what's that? No, I don't. I don't, because it's what makes our oils different. It's what makes our oils different. It's the difference between somebody who's just going out and sourcing cardamom in its original context and all of the labor we put into specialized distillation, farming practice methodology, and the chemistry that's being developed through that process naturally in the plant. You can replicate that if you understand fully what that chemistry is.
It's like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, their exact formula being released so that other people can...
That is artificial. It's difficult to copy a natural compound. But for example, people are also suspicious because they read everywhere that some oils are, for example, menthol. It's not allowed for children under 6 because it can...
Yeah, that's a philosophical difference, though.
Then they say, that means that doTERRA takes something out of the oils. This is why they don't give the test. So there are suspicions raised because of this.
I agree. But yeah, I completely understand.
Wellness advocates, you need reinforcement from the company.
And that's why you're here, so you can listen to all of this and you can take it in and you can have conversations like this, and now you have the education to go back and you can speak from a stronger place. No, but you don't have to apologize. You apologize with a statement of why, and this is with this everything that he just said. We are the best company in the world, and we don't want our secrets released.
I think the other thing to look at here is, I never want to be disparaging to any other company. I just don't. I really don't. And doTERRA does, believe me, we test every oil that's out there. We do. I have a whole team that all they do is test oils. That's all they do. And we are very familiar with what's out there and in the context that it's out there. We even know where it's coming from because of the sophistication of our testing. So in that process, but you never hear us standing up and saying, guess what, their oils are 100% synthetic. We don't do it. We don't do it. We're more concerned with what are we doing to ensure our own processes for the essential oils. The other thing that I always reflect on, and I know this isn't going to answer your question either, but it's interesting to me one of the things I said yesterday, I showed you part of my science team, I showed you some of the physicians that I work with, but I think the fact that institutions like Johns Hopkins, like Vanderbilt, like Duke, where I was a few minutes ago, was meeting with some researchers here, that they have keen interest in doTERRA. I think that speaks to something as well, that there's a lot of trust, that there's a lot of scientific, information, but mind share that develops through those processes. To me, that stands as its own evidential body in this process too. And I'm not sharing that's what you go telling. I'm not even worried about them anymore. I'm thinking about you. Because I think the other issue here is that you're asking for them, but I think you also want to feel confident. And so I'm going to challenge you a little bit to look at whom you're surrounded by, look at whom you're hearing from, and do your own comparisons. Do your own comparisons of who you personally want to trust and who you personally want to emulate or who you want to represent. And for me, when I hear people like Kirk Jowers stand up, who I know him personally, and I know of his integrity, and I know of who he is, but you sense that today as well. Today you heard Corey Lindley stand up and not tell you how to go make $1 million. You heard him stand up and tell you how to be wise, how to get out of debt, how to help other people with your resources and the importance that brings. If Dave Sterling were here, he would talk to you about how we've exacted those principles within the company to be debt-free so that we are free to help more people. Today I stand up and I talk about, not to be self-gratifying in any way, but I've talked about some of the richest experiences I have had are as people have found their own opportunities with essential oils. I didn't solve Kim's problem or Sally's problem. Kim did. Kim decided that was important for her. And she reached out to Sally, and she is the one who has spent the last 2 years helping her. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit to make some decisions based out of other things besides just a piece of paper, besides just what some report will or won't show you. And I think you'll find some greater long-term value associated with that too. And that's always been an interesting thing to me. My father, one of the things my dad used to always say 2 things to me. Son, I don't know anything. And I probably can't tell you anything that you don't already know. But I do know this. Surround yourself with the type of people whom you would like to become. And I've never forgotten that. And so I look at my partners, and you heard me today say, I love them. And then you heard me say, and I'm not just talking about the oils. I was talking about my partners and what they represent and how proud I am to be associated with them. That is an equal part, certainly has equivalency in any testing or anything else. And so I guess I have a little bit of this expectation when I stand up and I say, here's our testing, and here's why it's so important, and here's why it's valuable, and this is what we do. I guess I have a little bit of that expectation that people are going to believe me, because personally, I don't know why anybody would ever lie. Right? Liars, however, never, and I'm not saying you're a liar, don't think this, but it illustrates the point. I have a individual whom I know who always says, why would you be honest about something like that? So obviously they're not a very good friend of mine. They're an acquaintance that I have through somebody who is a good friend. And it's disturbing to me. And people who genuinely are dishonest always think that people are dishonest, because why would you be any other way? I have to tell you, partly why you're experiencing some of the disconnect you are in doTERRA is because we're really of the mindset and saying, why would we lie about that? Why would we be dishonest about that? We have no reason to. We have no incentive to. So this really is our testing. This really is what our oils are. This really is how we source them. This really is how we help people. This really is the co-impact sourcing model. And we just are always hopeful that people will not just take our word for it, but they'll take all of that into consideration, not just the testings. Maybe that'll help you a little bit. Just for you personally, to sort some of that out for yourself. And then, it doesn't matter if somebody tells you this guy is green and purple. You're going to look at it and go, that's really not what I see, but that's okay. Right? And then our opportunity to help people become something very, very different. Might be surprising for you to know that I talk to people from a lot of our competitors. They call me often. Well, not as often as they used to. It used to be weekly. I would field calls from people who were in other companies. And guess why they would call me? Can you tell me what to do for this? I've got a friend who has this. How many of them do you think I helped? Every single one of them, because I don't care. So maybe the best answer for your friends is to help them succeed. Help them succeed. And hopefully that'll be in doTERRA. And if it's not, at least help them to share the right messages with the essential oils. Maybe that's a better approach. Maybe it's a better answer.